Hello, I'm Beverley Glock and I'm getting ready for Christmas with the help of my beautiful KitchenAid. She's called Ruby because I think that every KitchenAid should have a name, and she matches my lipstick and my frock. How cool is that? So Stollen. Now Stollen is a European yeasted bread. It's a sweet bread and it's covered in icing sugar. Now this is lovely to make for Christmas. You can make lots of batches of this. Once it's cooked you can freeze it, take it out for Christmas or even for New Year and just warm it up and ice it just after it's cooling down. Fabulous. And if you're looking for some other wonderful Christmas presents, I have a new app called Cupcakes, Muffins and Afternoon Tea. There's over 60 fabulous recipes, all with video content to show you how to cream, how to do royal icing, lots and lots of hints and tips. So if you know anybody who's getting an iPad for Christmas or who's already got an iPad, give them my app. It's only £2.99 and it's brilliant. So on to Stollen. We're going to get Ruby working hard this morning with the dough hook. And there are two stages to this. The first stage is into the bowl. We're going to put in 225 grams of strong white plain flour. So the kind of flour that you'd use for bread making. This is a sweet dough, so we've got 15 grams of caster sugar, 1 teaspoon or 1 sachet of dried yeast. It is quite a lot of yeast to the quantity of flour, but that's because it's got lots and lots of dried fruit, so it needs a bit of warmth. 1 egg, 15 grams of melted butter, give it a lovely rich flavour, and 90 mils of warm milk. Now the easiest way to measure out 90 mils of milk is to actually weigh it, because liquid weighs the same as grams if you put it on a pair of scales. That goes in. I'm just going to set this to knead for about 5 minutes until it's nice and smooth and sticky. So time to go put the kettle on. So after about 5 minutes, your dough will be lovely and soft and stretchy. Now you need to put that somewhere warm. I'm going to pop it by the side of my Arga or just on a window ledge that's warm above a radiator, or in the airing cupboard. Cover it with some cling film, stop it drying out, and leave it until it's at least doubled in size, which will be around about 1 to 2 hours. And in the meantime, I've made up my dried fruit mix. And in here, I've got 50 grams each of currants, raisins and sultanas, and 50 grams of mixed peel. I've also popped in there 50 grams of ground almonds. Now this dish isn't suitable for people who have nut allergies. This has got ground almonds in it, and you're going to put marzipan through the middle of the Stollen. And that will be soaking in 3 tablespoons of rum, which will just infuse with all the fruit. And the only other thing I'm going to do with that is add in the grated zest of half a lemon and half an orange. Now the zest is the very, very outside, so the really, really bright, shiny bit of your orange and lemon. Try and get unwaxed oranges and lemons if you can, and always give them a good wash. And just very gently pull the grater over the top. Just underneath the skin is a much paler coloured pith. Now that's really bitter, you don't want to get that in. You just want the very, very outside. And already, oh, that smells gorgeous. This will get your kitchen smelling amazing. So just stir that in. Again, cover both of them with cling film and leave them for a couple of hours. So after an hour and a half, can you see what the difference is? It's really fluffed up, it's risen, and it's full of gorgeous bubbles of air, which will give that lovely light texture. So what we need to do is mix in the fruit that's been soaking in the rum for the past couple of hours. Now you can either do this on a lightly floured surface. I like working with baking parchment. 2 reasons. First of all, stops my table getting really dirty, and don't add any more flour into the mix. So to flatten this out, just dip your fingers in a little flour. That's what you're not going to add extra flour to this, but it will just stop your hands from sticking. Stretch your dough out, use a rolling pin if you want, but now the fun starts, because onto the top of here you're going to add your dried fruit and your ground almonds, and then you've got to mix it. It will go everywhere, but don't worry, because this is half the fun. Just keep mixing. You'll start to think that it's never going to go and it's just going to keep trying to escape, but it'll be fine, and believe me, it will go. So just knead all that gorgeous fruit and the ground almonds back into your bread. And even though you've done most of this in the mixer, there's nothing that beats kneading your own bread dough. It really makes you feel like you've put the effort in and made it yourself. Look, so that hasn't taken long at all. And any escapees, just squish them into the dough, and we're going to pop that back in the bowl, cover it with cling film and put it somewhere warm for another couple of hours until it proves. 2 hours later, it's doubled in size and it's lovely and soft. Now we're on to the final straight, putting it together and then cooking it. Now you have to make the decision whether you want one big Stollen or whether you want to do little ones. I think I'm going to do 2 little ones, because then I can give them as presents for Christmas, or I could give one for a present for Christmas, freeze one and keep it for myself because I love Stollen. So with each one of these, press them out with your hands until they are a rough rectangle in shape. Try and make sure that they're both the same size, roughly. And the marzipan. 100 grams of marzipan in total, so I'm going to split this in 2 because I'm making 2 little ones. So it's around about 50 grams, and then roll the marzipan into a sausage shape about the same length as your Stollen, and then just pop that in the middle. Roll them over so that the seam is underneath. Now, I'm going to brush these with a little bit of egg to give them a beautiful glaze. This is just a bit of beaten egg, and then these need to be transferred to a greased baking tray covered with cling film and put somewhere warm for another hour. See, it does take a while to do this, but you know what, this is a great recipe to do if you've got a Sunday before Christmas. You know, use the Sunday that maybe you're decorating the Christmas tree, or even in the holidays when you've finished work, and then just make them as a big batch, because they do freeze brilliantly when they're cooked. There you go. So the Stollen have now doubled in size and they're ready to be cooked. Preheat your oven to gas mark 6, 200 degrees, or in an Aga. I do it in the roasting oven. Give them one final quick glaze with some beaten egg, and they are ready to go in. The smaller ones should take around about 15 to 20 minutes. If you're doing it in an Aga, they do cook very quickly, so check them after about 8 or 10 minutes. My Stollen have now been cooling, and oh, they're just gorgeous. I love Stollen. It's just that marzipan in the middle, it's fabulous. You see how shiny they are from that egg glaze. Now to ice them, pop them over either some kitchen roll, or this is some baking parchment. This is to catch the drips, otherwise you will be taking icing off your table for weeks. Just normal boring icing sugar. We're just going to make up some glacé icing with some water. If you wanted to, you could add some lemon juice to the icing. I'm just going to keep this really plain and simple. I don't think it needs anything else. So just mix that round. You want it a little bit thick, not too thin, otherwise it will just run off your Stollen. If you're going to freeze these, once they get to this stage, let them go completely cold. Freeze them as they are. Take them out of the freezer, let them defrost, and just warm them up a little bit before you ice them. Don't put them in the freezer iced. It also gives the impression that they're just freshly baked out of the oven. You don't have to tell anybody they've been in the freezer. You'll just look super efficient and the perfect hostess. So nice, quite a thick consistency. Just drizzle this over. Again, you don't need it to be perfect. It's meant to flow off the sides, so it looks a bit like snow falling off the top of a mountainside. There's one thing, sometimes with home cooking, if it looks too professional, people think you bought it and you really don't want them to think that. There we go. Oh, that just looks gorgeous. If you're giving this to somebody as a present, let the glacé icing set and then just wrap this up in some cellar wrap and tie it with a ribbon. Gorgeous, fabulous present, but also absolutely delicious to eat and share over Christmas. There you go.